All right, so welcome back into the live stream today. We're going to dive into IMX and a lot of their most recent releases. A lot has been happening within the IMX universe, and today we're going to try to break that down for you. A lot of tokenomics, all that good stuff. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into TechPath. And when you look at projects, there are a handful, especially in this area, as we see evolutions kind of leaning into NFTs, NFT marketplaces. A lot happening in this space. IMX is pretty much one of the keystone leaders out there. And they really kind of dropped a lot of news and information on us today that kind of, one, leans into a lot of elements around staking, their tokenomics. We'll break down a little bit and all of that. Today's sponsor is FTX, so we want to thank them so much for, of course, joining in. Make sure and click the link below. You'll be able to catch a little bit about FTX. And, of course, if you're looking for a great trading house and some great value, then that is the place to check out, is FTX. Let's jump to Immutable announcing IMX. One of the things that I like about this project is their partnerships and just what they've been able to do. One of the things that we continue to see in terms of their overall, partnerships, obviously you see OpenSea, etc., Comey, Illuvium, and so on, but now we're starting to see the exchanges really start to play into this on their NFT platforms, and of course that means Coinbase, FTX, Galaxy Digital, really kind of becoming a big part of this. And I think that is, again, one of those things that just, this is the keystone of really good projects as they start to flow out. So really kind of cool. And another aspect of this was a quick poll that IMX pulled up. Which marketplace do you want to see? This was one that came in, Nifty Gateway, Rarible, FTX, Coinbase. And then which marketplaces do you want to see integrate? You had Fractal, Looks Rare, Huobi, or Huobi, and then X2. So I was kind of surprised that Looks Rare and X2 kind of led the way here, but that's where it goes. That's how you guys roll out there. So good stuff. Good stuff. I think as we look at, and I want to get you guys' thoughts on this, when you're looking at investing in some of these projects, these tokens, do you look at the roadmap, and is the roadmap achievement a thing for you? Because I feel like some people, they are, because most of these kind of scenarios are mostly either a short-term investment, you're coming in for, and when I say short-term investment, maybe a 1 month to 6 month investment cycle. Is that one strategy for you, or do you look at these longer plays and try to look at holding these tokens for multiple years? And I would love to know if that's what your plan is. Do you look at holding multiple years for something like an IMX? I want to get into their tokenomics portal. This was the thing that they released today, and it really kind of breaks down a lot of the news for IMX. And I think this has been the knock, if there has been a knock on IMX, is the transparency aspect of what they're releasing. And I think this kind of addressed that whole issue. Obviously, we know all the, I won't say drama, but it's a little bit of drama around GameStop and what we've seen there. And I think this kind of addresses a lot of this. So you've got this new portal. They've got a lot of new tools and information. They've got the protocol metrics in here, the dashboard for the grant side, supply schedule, which we'll take a look at, staking rewards, which is the big one I think that we'll see more and more, and then the staking specs as this starts to roll down. So good stuff. Now their next update isn't scheduled for until May 6th, so about another month away. It looks like every 30 days we're going to be updating this and get this in here, which I think is good. I think the key here with any of these kind of projects is community awareness and being able to get people really understanding where the project is, especially when it comes to if you're looking at either an NFT platform and you're looking at holding something, or if you're looking at a token investment on something like this. Let's look at their supply schedule, ecosystem development, and incentive optimization. Pretty much, what we expected, project development holding at 25%, but the ecosystem development, 51.74%. So that really is, I think, a commitment to really going into investing into the ecosystem itself. And that is one of the things, to me, that is the hallmark of a great project, is that you've got a large percentage of what your tokenomics are really dedicated to, and that is building out the network and or building out your partnerships, all those kind of things. You can kind of see what they talk about here Initiate likely to be create short-term utility for the ecosystem. This will increase in supply result, corresponding increase in demand, and then we'll also initiate grow long-term utility in the ecosystem. Does it make the ecosystem more useful for everyone? That'll be a big question. And then, of course, the other aspect of this is the token lockup rules, which are now out. So locked up, 3 states: locked, unavailable to trade, stake, or withdraw. Then you've got the cliff, unavailable to trade or withdraw, and then unlocked, obviously you can trade, circulating, and so on. And you can kind of see here on the private sale, 1 year locked or unlocked cliff, 2.5 on the unlock, 28 days. So again, depending on where you are in this, I'm assuming most are going to be coming in on the public sale side of things. So a lot of that. I think this is good for understanding where a project is leaning into. But again, tokenomics to me are important. Don't get me wrong, they are important, but a lot of times it is the hype, and it also is the achievements, and if they were able to ink a deal and then they've got real use case. Those kind of things matter almost as much as the tokenomics when you look at projects like this. And if you look at their roadmap, here's what they're talking about for May 1st. This is just a few weeks away. They're going to add fee to all trades on the protocol. So 20% of this fee will be allocated to the staking rewards, which is something that's coming up. That is a big deal. And this is going to where it'll be distributed to users once staking is live. Before staking is live, the staking rewards pool will grow but not be distributed. And then, of course, Q2, first topic here, I'm guessing this is end of Q2 because this is May 1st here on what they're talking about here. So I'm assuming either late May or June for this aspect, and that is staking. So allow all token holders to stake their IMX and earn proportional rewards from staking rewards. And I know we've got a poll up on this of how many people would stake the rewards. So let's kind of, well, this is on owning Immutable. All right, so I want to get one on how many would you do this, or how many of you would stake your IMX under these kind of proposals that they're talking about. Q3, a little bit out there, rewards points, earning points for trading on the protocol, conducting in any other pro network activity, and then your share of points earned each day will earn you a share in daily allocation of IMX. Again, this I think is a good strategy because it is one that I've seen. Let me kind of zoom up on that a little bit. This is one strategy that I have seen being used across a few other protocols, and also in the gaming side of things. There's a handful of gaming, projects out there that have been able to do this, really reward their members for activity, and I think that is something that we'll continue to see with IMX. The staking specs are pretty straightforward. 20% of the value captured by IMX protocol fee is allocated now. Just as I mentioned, at intervals, these rewards will be divided proportionally against all users who are staking. So the more users, it's kind of the less rewards, but at the same time, it's also going to generate a lot more interest in the project overall. So I think that's a good thing. Currently, primary variable impact staking rewards rates on NFT trading volume, while NFT trading volume ramps up. This is something we'll continue to see. I think as we look at different, different platforms, because they are kind of leading the way in terms of the protocol metrics. They're first in transaction. Look at this chart right here. It's not really a chart, it's a list, but you can kind of see first in transaction volume and in competitive sales volume. That's amazing to me, is to see this kind of transaction density, even over Flow and Wax, which is a very, very strong ecosystem on NFTs. Ronin, just the likely end connection there with Axie, and then Ethereum coming in on total transactions over the last 30 days. Now, when you look at sales, they're also right up there. And again, this goes back to the whole aspect of the bigger, platforms with Ethereum, Solana, Ronin, Flow, and Avalanche leading the way, and then IMX coming in right there behind it. So not bad. I think this overall, when you look at IMX as a project, this continues to do just the things it needs to do. I still believe that there are going to be some things that need to really ramp up over the next few months. I think this openness is a factor that is been demanded by the community. The fact that they're doing it, to me, is a good sign. So cool stuff here. Other things I wanted to kind of look at today, and we're going to look at Bitcoin. I know a lot of you have been kind of saying, hey, where's the market going? So we'll take a look at the overall chart today and give you guys kind of an indication of where things are heading. The other thing is their thesis. I think everybody that understands what they are up to understands the commitment of where this is going for IMX. And they do believe, it's kind of NFTs are going to take over. We're going to see more and more projects really kind of focus in on this. And obviously this is going to make the marketplaces become just so much more popular. And the really good ones like IMX are going to be the ones that win out. So I think overall, good notice there for how IMX is going to look at future. And one thing they're looking at here is they're going to monetize liquidity. Every time a trade or transaction takes place, Immutable and IMX token receives a fee. This aligns incentives with the projects. So lines up with their revenue model and really kind of their big one, which is critical mass, which I think is the one that they're really after, which is a $1 trillion market. So good stuff there. I want to jump over to the current market, and then we'll get into some questions on IMX today just to kind of give you guys a run at this. But I was surprised that, oh yeah, we just dipped under 2 trillion on the market cap. But I was kind of surprised that we had held the $2 trillion market cap here, overall market. Still though, volume trading at 121 billion. This is insane. And then Bitcoin holding at 41.9%, ETH at 19.4%. And if you look at where Bitcoin has been going and what this might look like, and this is something that we track. I'm going to go to the 7-day because this is something that is kind of interesting. If you go to the month, you can kind of see the run up right there. But if you go to the 7-day, this kind of starts right here back last week around Wednesday. And this is interesting too, because we did see a little bit of fall off on this in advance. And when you look at our own CPI, I'm thinking about putting some additional tokens into our CPI. And I'd love to get you guys' feel on what that needs to be, because we're looking at maybe dropping ApeCoin off of our historical and adding in some additional ones. Now, IMX will be one that we bring into the CPI long-term metric analysis. And what that means is that we score tokens over a 12 indice period. And right now it could be 12 weeks or it could be 6 weeks, depending on if we do it twice a week. So we are looking at bringing IMX into that so you guys can get a longer look at IMX on overall sentiment and amplification. And I'd love to, for you guys, just in the comments, drop the tokens in. Listen, it needs to be a major market cap or have a decent market cap. There needs to be enough interest in it for it to really register in our sentiment numbers. And the other factor is that we do need to have, a really quality project behind it. Not that I'm saying that some of these aren't, but there are some projects out there, as you guys know, are a little bit sketch. So just be on the lookout on that. Just as a reminder, because this is something that we're seeing more and more of, if you're in the comments, is remember, the spam comments still come in, so just be cautious. We're not going to ask you to join our WhatsApp or our Telegram. If we reach out to you, it's going to be direct. If you've joined our Diamond Circle, and if you haven't, maybe now is a good time to jump into it, because Diamond Circle is a free to join program, and we drop a couple of emails a week. We do drop a lot of alpha stuff in there, including analysis. We're getting ready to continue to ramp that up as well and give you guys a lot more. But if you look at where the CPI is, just to give you guys an understanding of CPI, when we look at this, and this is also gives us the inside on where IMX is going. A lot of times it will help us with the trading cycles that we see there. But what you see on the dashboard here, the big ones are going to be the top crypto button, which is going to get you into the 15 core index of our tokens, and that's continuing to grow. We'll see more on our metaverse. And then our top 20 or our top 30 altcoins, our top 20 metaverse, top 20 blockchain gaming. We update these charts usually every 2 to 3 weeks because there needs to be enough movement there. But when you go to top crypto and really kind of take a look, I just wanted to show you a little bit of comparison here on Bitcoin, because this is kind of the thing that we've been continuously watching, because over this last week, and if I jump back here to this coin market cap in this last week, you kind of see this downtrend happening right there. And if you're tracking this on our historical, this is really when we also saw the movement trending down. So back here on 328, we had that nice high. And then, of course, we started to see amplification start to move down, as you can see. And then also sentiment also dropping in. So this had a little bit of a leading indicator of where the market was trending. Now, granted, we get ready to drop another CPI score on Friday. We drop these on Friday mornings. Usually we have them out by noon so that you can kind of prep for weekend trading. And then on Mondays, there's usually enough data for us to drop usually by 2 or 3. By the time we do the show on Monday on our live streams, we drop those in. So this was an indicator that we were able to pick up, and it also aligned with what was happening in the marketplace right here. So does it mean that we're going to see Bitcoin drop in and get down close to the $40,000 mark? I still think we're probably leaning into more of around a 42 on this one. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to jump to some questions on IMX. And of course, IMX too is one that we definitely want to take a look at as well. And I'll jump to a question, then I'll jump back to that. So let's jump over to the questions today. Let's take a look here. Crypto Knights, how come CPI hasn't been updated for weeks? What? Well, you must be in the wrong CPI. Now, what you may be asking is this: is our top 30 alts? We only update these every 2 to 3 weeks. Top 20 metaverse, and let me give you guys kind of an understanding of this, because we've gone to more updates on these. And the reason is because of this right here on the top cryptos. These are updated twice a week, and they're the historical data, because when we polled our audience for CPI, what they wanted was the historical data. So if you're looking at Solana, as a good example, these get updated. So this one was updated 4.4, 4.1, and we just keep going. The top 20 list is what I think you're talking about. And the top 20 list, because those don't shuffle too much, we were doing those weekly and there just wasn't enough movement to really get behind a project. Once we started going to every couple to 3 weeks, it gave us much more clarity on which projects were really moving. But when you get into weekly data analysis on individual tokens, now you get much more granular, and now you can make individual token analysis. And also remember, on our top 20, remember, these are coming out of sometimes hundreds of projects that are in that list. So IMX, for example, would be in our metaverse list. And in many cases, there's times when IMX didn't make our top 20, which is understandable if the sentiment wasn't flowing. But there's a lot of these, kind of, I won't call them hodgepodge, but these, high flyers. We'll look at many of those. We just did a video on this today on low cap and ICOs that were really moving. And there was a lot of those that would have made it into top 20, but they don't stay there very long. So the shorter frame time between these top 20s, that's important, because you get these, I won't say these unusual projects, but these unusual projects because they're flying at right at that moment. Good example would be STEPN, or if you look at something like Dark Frontiers was really high this week. There's just so many that are kind of flying and then they fall off quickly. So that's the reason we do it. All right, so Daniel, add Ecomi to the CPI. We've looked at that. I've looked at, and I know everybody wants Ecomi on there. And historical wise, it's probably something we should do for the community, because we do have a lot of people that track that one. It has been really underperforming here recently. And again, it's not that it's a bad thing. It's just that I think for the investors that are looking at it, maybe that's a good idea, because at least you would have some sort of historical analysis on it. Because when you look at Solana and its run up right here, if you were using the CPI, you would have caught that run, because we had Solana way down here when it was tracking under $100, and then boom, it just flew right up the chart. AMP is falling a little bit, which is where we kind of anticipated. Again, remember, this is dropped on Monday before Solana was dropping. Same thing here on sentiment, dropped off pretty significantly, almost a half a point. And for Solana, that's a lot, because some of these smaller projects can move big, by 2 or 3 points. That's a lot in a smaller project, but when you have these massive projects like Avalanche, Solana, Cardano, some of those, you get a half-point move. That's a big deal. All right, geez, we got too many questions here. Okay, Gonzalez Trek, Have you seen Luniverse? LUV would love, okay, be a good buy. Anything that's in the Luna ecosystem, I can't say anything, but for the most part, the Luna ecosystem is very strong, and I still am a big proponent of Luna, and also what Do Kwon, their founder and CEO, is trying to do just to support blockchain in general. And if you're not following just some of the things that is happening with UST and the Anchor protocol in terms of yields, even though that has a little bit of pressure right now, it's still one of those bastions of great yields. So I like Luna, and I continue to like what they're doing as a long-term investment. All right, continue. Let me go here to Chow Tim. Just bought IMX today. Good for you. Good deal there. And then Armand, you're going long-term. I like that. Okay. And I like that because sometimes you have to have conviction around these projects. And like we have our crypto pit is kind of split on IMX. We have some holders that are in it for long-term, just see this as a potential marketplace that's just going to go through the moon. And then some guys, in the crypto pit are looking to, hey, I'm trading this once it hits a certain number. So I'm always curious about people's strategy on this, for sure. Let's go in here. Will Coinbase utilize IMX for their NFTs? Yes, real talk. That was mentioned, I think, back here on their own homepage. They're talking about right here, right here. So eventually you've got the potential here of Coinbase FTX. We'll see more and more of this. I think this is just a matter of time before IMX really starts to rule the land in terms of these marketplaces. Robert Salazar, can we get an AMA with Simon from Blocktopia? I'd love to get Simon on the show. I think he'd be a good, and it's right up our alley. We need to get him on the Metaverse show, but yeah, for sure. And then let's go in here. Scale, all right, Mirror Protocol or Loopring? I would go with Mirror Protocol on that one, just because of the tie-in, again, back to when you look at Anchor, Mirror Protocol, obviously Luna, all tying in, versus Loopring, even though we got some guys in the crypto pit that love Loopring and love the tokenomics behind Loopring too. So you should look into that project as well. Let's go Crypto MD, IMX shaping up to be a long-term hold, good. And it also, staking changes your strategy. See, I think that's the thing right there. Is when you're falling in, I shouldn't say falling, you're going into the strategy roll up that many of these projects have figured out. The magic juice behind this is staking. One, to help control the flow of tokens and into the marketplace so you don't get the volatility, but you still have liquidity. And two, you get long-term investors that are really coming in for a conviction on they believe in that project. So cool for you. All right, this is a good one. Let's go here. Hello, Paul. What do you think of SOS, OpenDAO, and AMP projects? Listen, AMP has not had a great time of it. We've had their founder on, and if you've not looked at Flexa, I believe is the project. If you have not looked at that video, we've done a deep dive on AMP before. We probably should revisit that one for sure. But some of these, there's just so many of these. We get so much inbound, as you can imagine, our own content of people pushing projects and things of that nature. So we try to kind of push as many into the bigger pile of people that are interested in certain things, and we try to advance and answer as many of those as we can in a video. So good for you guys. Boson. Boson Protocol we had on the show last week, and of course that's Metaverse Fashion Week, the guys that kind of helped roll that out. I was kind of, I'm still in the middle on Boson. I'm very intrigued with what they're doing because it's an e-commerce platform. Think of it for Metaverse, for transacting in what you see in the Metaverse to a real world asset, or in their particular case, it was a real world piece of clothing. So I don't know. I like the idea. The question is how well it gets uptake and mass adoption. I think that's the big one there. We've got a poll coming up. Let's take a look. All right, so would you stake your IMX? Okay, I like it. 78% your long-term anyway. Man, that's great. 78% of you guys are really going in and all in on IMX. I like it. The only thing I would say is this, guys, is when you're putting your strategy together, and this is one I use, this is just my strategy. Remember, not financial advice on these things. When we do these, we give you guys data. We'll give you some insights, but the real core of this is, and I think you do this. If you're following our show, I think you guys do this. You do your own research and you have good conviction behind these projects. That's the one thing I will say of our audience is when you guys get on a project, you are well versed in it. You get behind and understand the mechanics behind it. Most of the time you understand the teams. And because you're calling out CEOs and things like that on the show for us to interview. You understand what's happening. I like that about that. One thing I do in terms of strategy though, remember, is diversification is good, but in bull markets, you've got to start taking profits and start rolling those into your core assets that you're looking on long term. Now, maybe IMX is that kind of project for you, or it could be what I call a carrier, and it takes you through a bull market, and then you look at waiting and maybe re-entering that, repositioning, reallocating, and rebalancing your portfolio during a bear market. So strategies need to be looked at when you're going in that direction for sure. All right, you guys, of course, always great. We love to see you. Make sure if you haven't jumped into the Diamond Circle, get in. Man, we've got some great things happening there, and we're also doing another giveaway next week. And we do that through our email. So if you haven't joined on the Diamond Circle, catch into that. We do our AMAs in there. We'll do some of our how-to guides, things of that nature all get dropped in there. And then occasionally we're going to drop in these insights so you'll get access maybe to some of the CPI data that we're going to start dropping into there. And I'd love to do a couple of custom videos for you guys, maybe just for Diamond Circle to do token analysis when we do buys. So maybe that's something that we should start really kind of looking at. But anyway, get into that. If you want to reach me it's out on Twitter, @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.